She would be able to have mobility devices, make her stay in her home much more easy. She would get much better care. And as Ms. Chow quite rightly said, sir, and I say this because the facts matter, there are property tax credits that Ms. Chow said, and if you look at what's happening in Calgary, because there's no trolls and, you know, there's not millions of seniors going homeless in Calgary, Stockholm, London, where their taxes go up, because they know it's making their lives easier. And in Calgary, as I just said, you can actually get a refund of the educational portion of your tax bill, and that's something that as mayor, I will ensure that we do to make sure nobody ever has to leave their home.
The next question is item the big viewer.
We need to
That's all right, Mr. Mayor. Okay. Well, sir, go home and tell your mother that her taxes are going to be raised to $175. She'll hit you over the head with a frying pan. I'm going to give you, as you see on every one of my answers, I tell you what we've done and what we're going to do. Unlike some other answers, they just go around in circles and don't tell you what we're going to do. Well, first, the best thing for your mother, if she owns her house, is one day she's going to sell that house. And she's going to have to pay, the house is an average of $600,000. She's going to have to get doubled in from the province and the city for $8,000 each, total $16,000. I'm the only one at this table that is reducing the land transfer tax the first year by 15%. I'm the only one for the record of reducing rent to 160,000 units in this city. Reduce the rent by 160,000. And to make sure it's easier on your mother when she gets the tax bill, she's always going to have the lowest tax bill in North America, not like the folks in Markham or Mississauga. As for your methadone clinic, I don't believe, first of all, they should be handing out wines, cigarettes, and needles. Okay? I don't believe they should be unadopted. I do believe they should be supporting addicts with methadone to get them off the drug that they're on. So I support the methadone, I don't support the free needles, the free booze, and the free cigarettes that the taxpayers pay in this city.
Okay, sorry, we're on to the next questioner. Ida, 3 to 1. Thank you.
All right, sorry. John, my name's Ida Vivacqua, and I actually live right on St. Clair. I've been in this neighborhood with my son for 14 years. My father, now retired, has been in the neighborhood as a small business owner for 45 years. And my sister runs a specialty store in the Corso Italia district for 20 years. So we're no strangers to St. Clair. As you're aware, this St. Clair has a dedicated right-of-way. It destroyed a viable residential and business community that was robbed of their heritage and their livelihood. As mayoral candidates, I really challenge all of you, to walk the street and drive the street and get a real understanding of the negative impacts, the infiltration of the traffic into the neighborhood streets, the road rage, the gridlock, the confusion of the U-turns, the double parking, the illegal parking, the accidents, the delay time, and just, let me take it one notch lower, guys. My question is from you, if you can't even unload groceries in front of your door without getting a parking ticket. So my question to you is this. With the City of Toronto's vision for intensification and infrastructure and renewal policies that are being implemented to build this city, what are your thoughts and vision as mayor to mitigate the damage that has been done on the street, to improve our public transit, our quality of life, and restore the business community and the neighborhood?
There's several things that can be done on St. Clair. Metro needs to finish the Davenport job faster, so we finish the construction, number one. Number two, there's a bottleneck, so we need to expand that bridge, which is what's what we have. Let's do it. The promise you it would get finished so that they would add an extra lane on the bridge that would break the bottleneck going eastbound on the side. So there's 2 lanes going through right now, but there isn't. Okay? So let's increase the lane down there. That would help the situation on St. Clair. And we should also have more buses on Dufferin so that in Caledonia, for example, because those buses was cut because under the Ford regime, what happened was that the TDC budget was cut, so the TDC fares went up and the bus services went down. People are more packed at sidings because the loading standard got changed. So all of that needs to be changed. And lastly, the light rapid transit we're talking about actually adds 2 extra lanes, not like St. Clair. St. Clair, what St. Clair does is a streetcar, so that the existing 6 lanes became 6 lanes, 2 of the lanes are gone. So if you look at the Finch and the Shepherd area, it's adding 2 extra lanes so that it would not take away a car lane. There are light rapid transit all over, whether it's Calgary, Vancouver, Edmonton, and Calgary, Ottawa. They all have light rapid transit, and it works there very well because it is all right of way.
Good evening, Mayor. I heard your question to be about the St. Clair right of way, not about anything else. Did I hear that correctly? Okay, sorry? All right, so I think I'm going to give you an answer that you may not know, although I empathize because I live in Spadina in St. Clair, and I never understood when that right-of-way was built. It was in my way. It took me forever to get here tonight. I'm constantly cursing the traffic. But I'm going to give you an answer, and I appreciate in this room, it may not go over so well, but it's what I believe. When I'm stuck in traffic, in my car, burning gas, 1 person in the car, and I'm either next to, near a streetcar, near a right-of-way, and I'm muttering to myself, boy, I'm stuck in traffic, something comes over me because I understand it's more than me, it's a bigger picture than me. I live in a city surrounded by people who may not drive. When I say I'm stuck in traffic, it comes to me that I am traffic. So I know that that's not something... I know that's not something that maybe you want to hear, but I think what we need to hear, and this is why I'm even in favor of bringing back the vehicle registration tax, even though I'm a driver and we can't have a perfect city, there's so many people living here, there'll never be the oasis that we want. We need to do everything we can to make people who don't drive, or even who do drive, have more transit options, because to me, that's how the city wins in the long term.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to tell you about that bridge that Libby was talking about. I was at a government management meeting, and my friend John Tory here wonders why there's 33 to 2 votes. Guess what, folks? Francis and I stood up and fought for you. We fought day in and day out for you, and we got shot down. We were supposed to take care of the bridge this year, and it was deferred. But Francis and I fought for you, and she had a lot of voice. I can guarantee you of that. So if you don't want the St. Clair disaster, and I'll tell you another thing. At this table, I'm the only one that went door to door to door along St. Clair to talk to the businesses, and you should hear some of the nightmare stories. I promise you one thing, Ida, it will never, ever happen again under the Ford administration. We're building subways, unlike the other candidates that want to destroy Shepherd, destroy Finch, destroy Eglinton, and then out in the Etobicoke and Scarborough. I never want anyone to go through the pain that the businesses have felt on this corridor along St. Clair.
First of all, I'd like to just return to accountability for a minute, because that, of course, project was a fiasco in every respect financially, including the fact that they ordered the streetcars and built the right-of-way at the same time and didn't talk to each other, so now they're spending millions of your dollars adjusting the right-of-way to fit the new streetcars, which is just typical of what I talked about. Now, back to some things we can do. First of all, we keep the special transfers in place. I think that's something that's not well known today. Just to keep the special transfers in place, but at least make it possible for people to patronize the businesses. Secondly, deal with the Kiel St. Clair logjam. It's going to be done in 2017. I think you want to make every effort to see if you can deal with it faster than that. There's an environmental assessment underway. The councillor, Cesar Palazzo, has been fighting for this to be accelerated, and we should try and find ways to do that. Thirdly, more parking off-street. In other words, if we can find more opportunities to create more parking off the street, this is going to help keep the traffic moving, but also make it possible for people to have access to the businesses. Fourthly, I think we have to, maybe it's time to get all hands on deck from the BIAs and bring them in to talk about ideas to help revitalize business in this area. There's been a lot of clever things done that attract people back to areas that were struggling a bit, in this case struggling because of the right-of-way. And then finally, I mentioned earlier about vacant stores. It may well be beyond the idea I had about artists that we have to do something in this particular area to provide a special incentive, or let's put it this way, not even place a disincentive that is allowing landlords to keep stores vacant for a long period of time to get the rent that they want to get, and they can help with the city's tax policy and everything.
We have time for one more speaker, and that is Ryan Friedman. Can I ask a question?
So my question tonight, well, let me make a statement first. Joe Panicelli, the respected city manager of the city for many years, who just recently retired, said the city doesn't have a spending problem. The city has a revenue problem. And given that, my question to Mr. Ford is, if we're going to cut the land transfer tax, what services are going to be cut as a result of that?
Well, thank you. I know Joe better than anyone in this room. I work with him day in and day out, sometimes hours on end, hours trying to find efficiencies. He was the one who helped us drive efficiencies. He was the one who helped us find $1 billion. So, as for the land transfer tax, I think it's pretty simple. We budgeted for $320 million, 350 came in. That's $30 million extra dollars. That's not our money. That's the taxpayers' money. The burden to seniors that want to sell their homes, or young couples want to sell their homes. What my proposal is to eliminate 15% the first year. We outsource garbage east of Young. We're going to save $97 million. Wow. Through the efficiency studies, we can save another $50 to $60 million to find the 15%. Because, sir, I've always said that everyone in this room can spend the money a lot wiser than government. You know how long it took us to spend that $30 million up council? 20 minutes. 20 minutes. It was gone like that. What did we do 6 years ago when we never had it? 7 years ago. We survived. In 2013 budget, we ended up with a $248 million surplus, which we put 75% in the infrastructure, 25% in the reserves. So you know something, we do have a spending problem in all three levels of government.
I appreciate that question. It was for Doug, and as I listen to Doug do what Doug does and say, he knows everybody and he's best friends with everybody. I mean, Doug just said he knows Joe. As I listened to that answer, all that came to my mind is that Doug knows Jack. Because in my view, your question was so important, sir. And it sets out, I'm happy with that. Because it's really important that we respect the question that you asked. And it's very important when you have a city manager that you talked about saying we don't have a spending problem, we have a revenue problem. Why don't we listen to that? And I'm the candidate, even though for the segment of this room it's easy to boo, and that's fine. If you lay out the truth to the good, smart, caring people of this city, who understand that for 50 cents a day, less than the price of a Timmy's coffee, you actually address all of the issues that so many people in this city are being left behind and suffering. If we just dealt with the truth, I say again, the four of us should be agreeing on more than we disagree on.
In the last 4 years, TDC fares have gone up. Okay? The parks and rec fees have gone up, so if you want to drop by and go swimming with your kids, you pay. And the kids' fees have gone up. Renting a baseball diamond or a soccer field or a cricket field, guess what? It's gone up. So now Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts and the Boys and Cubs, they're all saying, well, yeah, we can't pay that fee anymore, we're volunteers. And we organize cricket tournaments and all those wonderful things for the kids, but the rental fee is so high. Okay? That's what happened in the last 4 years. And guess what else happened? The full fee paying parents that have childcare. You know how expensive it is right now? Childcare is impossibly expensive. It's almost more than the mortgage you pay. So everything has gone up. All the use of fees have gone up. And let us be honest, if we are going to create good service, good affordable services, we have to be honest and say that we have to invest in it. We have to invest smartly. That's what we believe that is true, that the City of Toronto have a bit of a spending, not a spending problem, a revenue problem. We do not have enough money, especially when it comes to serving the seniors and our children, and we must change that.
I'll come back to something I try to be consistent on, and I just think it is so important that we focus on this and the next mayor focuses on this. I really think that we have to focus on the accountability at City Hall right now. I think that if I asked people in this room by show of hands if they think we've addressed all of the waste and inefficiency at the City Hall, they would say no. I think they see example day after day, even the small ones, like I mentioned about the sidewalks you read about in the paper last week that they ripped up twice at a cost, I think, of hundreds of thousands of dollars of your money. And I think we simply have to address that first. And I believe if we do that, and you combine that with two other things. One being property tax increases at or below the rate of inflation, so that is going to bring in some new revenue, hopefully, without hurting the mother of the woman, the man that asked the question earlier on, and other seniors and others who are struggling. And secondly, if we can get a better deal and a proper level of investment from the other governments in this country to invest in its largest city, the economic engine of the country, which has special and more complex needs than do other cities in this country. And I think that we need to be able to know that our mayor is going to be able to have the kind of discussion firmly but politely with those governments to make sure that they make those investments in the city. And then finally, I think the second kind of accountability we have to deal with here is accountability for people who are going to make promises during election campaigns, whether it's to do with spending money or reducing taxes, to make sure that they spell out for you quite explicitly where, if they're going to give up revenues, where that money is going to come from. Because I think otherwise you're being fooled. And so I just think that.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're now going to close out the meeting with something really simple. We're going to ask each candidate to take 2 minutes to say whatever final they want to say, and then we'll be out of here. I'm going to start at reverse order, so we're going to start far end of the day and work this way. So Doug, you start. 2 minutes.
Well, I appreciate everyone coming tonight. October 27th is going to be an easy decision for you. You're either going to vote for keeping taxes low, building subways, making sure the government is transparent and accountable, customer service excellence. You know where I stand. The other option is to build LRTs, like my counterparts here, increase taxes, as Mr. Tory said numerous times, that is there a gas tax, a toll tax, a retail tax, increase the property tax, because we know there is no funding mechanisms. The difference between myself and Mr. Tory, let me be very clear here. When When I went down there, my first vote was to decrease taxes and donate my salary. When Mr. Tory went to Queen's Park, his vote was to give himself a $22,000 pay increase. People don't even make that $22,000 on top of voting for his 107 friends that were over $20 million on pay hikes to line their own pockets. I can assure you, Doug Ford will never line his own pockets or his buddies' pockets. I can assure you. You want to thrive in city, you'll vote for Doug Ford on October 27th. Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, thank you very much for coming here tonight, and thank you, John Sewell, for a job well done as our moderator. I think that people are going to be looking, and I hope they will be looking, on the 27th of October for sensible, rational, competent, accountable leadership at City Hall. I think we need to calm things down. We need to end the period of division and chaos we've been through, because as I said at the beginning, I think it has sapped our strength. It has sapped our ability to get results for people on all of the different things that we've talked about tonight. Every job I've ever had, and every job you have, the mandate, no matter what it is you do, is actually very simple. You're supposed to get results, and those are usually spelled out by the people you work with and you work for. Even when I was a broadcaster, for example, if you didn't have any listeners, you didn't have a job. Your job was to get results. It's all measured differently. And so I think we have to take that sensible, rational, competent, accountable leadership and use it to get results. Use it to get results on jobs, on transit, on traffic, on taxes. And I think we have to use it as well to make sure that the kind of relationships that we've seen over at the City Hall over the last number of years are dramatically improved. That we bring the city together. That starts with bringing the whole city together. And as I said earlier on, because I feel so strongly about this, ending this whole talk of downtown versus the suburbs. It's all for one and one for all in a great city. And that applies to people as well. We can't leave people behind. It applies to the relationships with the other governments. We simply have to put those on a productive, positive basis, being firm and representing our interests to make sure those governments make the kinds of investments they should make in this city to make sure that we can maintain the quality of services that we have. And so I think that's only going to happen if we make a change over there. It's a change from what's caused the division and the chaos, and I think it starts with leadership. It starts with leadership. It starts from the top, as it usually does. Who's going to set that example to produce that sensible, rational, competent, accountable leadership? I offer myself to you to provide that kind of leadership. I hope I can count on your support on the 27th of October.
Short person needs to stand up and mind himself. Well, our city is at a crossroad. We have a major decision to make about how we can improve transit and deal with the gridlock. And I have a plan and the know-how and the experience to get people moving faster and sooner, not 10 years from now, but right now. And we have a clear choice. We can continue to have the 4 more years of the 4 Tory policies, where people are being left behind. A big parts of our city are being left behind. With me as your mayor, everyone counts. It doesn't matter what your skin color, what your income, where you come from, what neighborhood you're from. Everyone counts, and you will see investment in people right now. And the problem with elections often is that the truth gets hidden. And you need to hear the complete truth. But there are just too many questions Mr. Tory's transit plan that he wouldn't answer. Lots of questions he wouldn't answer. How many homes, libraries, childcare center, church, that whole Mount Dennis area would have to be torn down to build Mr. Tory's track? What will residents do when Mr. Tory bulldozes all of that neighborhood? And how much tunneling is it going to take to do that track? We don't know, because it's a cost of $300 million per kilometer. How much was that scheme cost? We don't know. If Mr. Tory doesn't know these answers, he hasn't earned your trust or your vote. Our city needs a mayor who's is real, who knows the specific, and has the track record to deliver results. I am that mayor. And I'm looking for your vote so we can start building a better city, a more caring, a more fair city right now. Thank you for coming out tonight.
What you've just seen, ladies and gentlemen, is the reason I'm so proud to stand here and say, let's hit the reset button. You hear people saying, vote against a certain person. My belief is your vote should be for somebody. It should be voting for somebody who has a vision that you share. Everybody in this room, no matter who you know, no matter who you believe in, you're all frustrated about something in the city that doesn't work. And you have 74 years of experience here that I say very respectfully has let you down. I don't think that the next 4, 8, 12, 16, 30 years should be a referendum on the 4 years of the Ford era. Let's let that go. Let's make some smart, wise, prudent investments in our city, all of our city, from Rosedale to Rexdale, because when somebody wins who has fallen through the cracks, just like the gentleman's father from earlier, we all win. If you look at Toronto as a zero-sum game, we are all going to lose. And we have learned that when you're not willing to invest in this great city, none of us get moving. None of us have the quality of life that we want. I'm Murray Goldkind. I'm running to be your mayor because I believe very, very differently than the three very experienced people on this stage that we are worth 50 cents a day. And when you go to 95% of people and you explain to them what 50 cents a day will do, people will not be cheap with our great city. Our city is a jewel, and let's shine it. Thank you.
We're almost out of here. Can we give all four of them a hand? I think we've had a good. In closing, I wanted to just quote one former politician, I think it was Yingho, who said on October 27th, vote early and often. Anyway.